والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and passing salutation upon His Messenger Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, we go ahead with one session of two sessions regarding the month of Ramadan. And we made an introduction 2 weeks ago, and inshallah this is going to be the opening of the rules and etiquettes of the month of Ramadan according to the book of Al-Wajiz. So in order for you to revise, I'm going to go through the book of the Wajiz. In terms of the rule of Ramadan, it is one of the pillars of Islam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. For you who believe, fasting was made obligatory upon you, like it was made obligatory upon those who were before you, so that you may attain taqwa. So in this verse, we know that the following. Number one, that the fast is made obligatory upon us. Number two, it was not only us which was obligatory upon them, but also it was obligatory upon the nations before us, meaning other prophets came and made siyam, fasting, is to be obligatory. Now, was it during the month of Ramadan or not? That's what we don't know. But siyam was obligatory. Was it 30 days? We don't know. Was it from the night to the morning until the evening? We don't know. But what we know is that the fast before us was harder than the fast of ours. And on this verse as well, we know that the reason behind the fasting is that we may attain taqwa. So the whole purpose and the main purpose for abstaining from food and drink and sexual intercourse is to attain the taqwa. If you attain the taqwa, then you have fulfilled your purpose and Jannah is yours. Allah also says in the following verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. This verses says that the fast which was made obligatory upon you, it is during the month of Ramadan. And the reason behind this, that the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. So this is the month where the Quran was revealed. And the revelation is of two stages. Stage number one, the whole of it, which was revealed from the preserved tablet to the Bayt al-Izzah, the house of honor, which is in the nearest heaven. That's the first phase of revelation. And that took place in the month of Ramadan, particularly in the night of Al-Qadr. And the other revelation, which is the second phase, is from the Bayt al-Izzah, house of honor, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam within 23 years. So Jibreel alayhi salam, when he used to take the Quran, to take it from the nearest heaven, not all the way from the reserved tablet, from the nearest heaven, where there's a house of honor containing the Quran, and he was taking those verses which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given permission to take and give to the Prophet of Allah according to the incidents and the occasions that take place with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the first verses which were revealed to the Prophet of Allah, Surah Al-Qalam, and which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Surah Al-Alaq, sorry, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Those 5 verses, we believe also, according to the hadith which is authentic, that they were revealed in the month of Ramadan. Not only that, in a particular night of the month of Ramadan, with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is authentic, that indicates that all the books that we know about, which is the Torah, the Injil, and the Zabur, Also the Quran were revealed in the month of Ramadan. So we know that the revelation of those 5 verses, it could be on the 25th night of the month of Ramadan. The 25th night of the month of Ramadan, when Jibreel alayhi salam came down onto the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he said to him, recite. He said, I cannot recite. He said to him 3 times, and every time he tells him that, he presses him to himself, to his chest, and he let him go until the last one. He said to him, repeat, اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق, and recite in the name of the Lord who created. خلق الإنسان من علق, he created mankind from a clot, from a leech. اقرأ وربك الأكرم, recite in the name of the Lord who is the generous or the noble. الذي علم بالقلم, the one who taught by the pen. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم, taught the person things that he doesn't know about. So because of that issue, that the Ramadan was the month where the revelation of the Quran was revealed, that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that fast, which is obligatory, to be in the month of Ramadan. Also from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that Islam was built upon 5 pillars, starting with the Shahada, and then the prayer, then Zakah, Ramadan, the fast of Ramadan, and the pilgrimage, which is going to Hajj. Now, the Ummah, they have consensus regarding the obligation of the fast in the month of Ramadan to be a pillar of Islam. He who does not believe in that, he's a kafir, apostate, and he's not a Muslim. And it is from those things which we call it ma'loom min ad-din bil-darura. You have to be, as soon as you come to the religion, it becomes a necessity upon you to know them. Now, if a person fasts just for the sake of, dieting, or for the sake of trying it out, he does not believe in the fast of Ramadan, he's a kafir, regardless if he had fasted the whole month. In terms of the virtues of the fast, we have a number of hadith, quote some. Prophet of Allah, he says, he who fasts Ramadan, believing in it and hoping for the reward, Allah will forgive for him the previous sins. And also, Prophet ﷺ, he tells us about a hadith which is a Qudsi, meaning the words are from the prophets and the meanings from Allah. كُلُّ عَمَلٍ مِنْ آدَمَ, all the actions of the son of Adam is to be performed, except for fasting, for it is for me. So this is Allah Azza wa Jal speaking to us. He says all the actions from the prayers and the charity and the Hajj, all the good deeds are for Him. You are the one who's doing it. You might gain a benefit for yourself, people looking at you doing the salah, except for the fast, as it is for me. Because when the person fasts, nobody knows that he's fasting except for himself. It is impossible for you to know that he's fasting. He could tell you that I'm fasting, but you don't know he's fasting or not. And those were what we call it from the inward ibadahs. That is why when Prophet ﷺ sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari to Yemen in order to teach them the deen, he said to him, verily, you're about to go to the people whom are from the people of the book. That the first thing that you call them to is the Shahadatayn. Testifying there is no God worthy of worship except for Allah alone, that Muhammad is the slave and his messenger. So, Prophet ﷺ is telling Mu'adh ibn Jabal that you need to prepare yourself coming to people who are not pagans, idolaters, coming to people who are Christians or Jews. So let the first thing that you call them to, that's a preparation. Make the person who is a da'iyah to know what he's doing, what is he calling to, and how he should really give the information. So the knowledge is not just the knowledge of the deen, knowledge of the rule. You need to have a knowledge of the person that you're going to give the da'wah to, the background of his. So how are you going to be passing the information to him? That's important. So you know about the person, and how you're going to convey the message to him, what is the best of the ways. Then he said to him, if they obey you, then let them know that the first thing after that is the salah. 5 daily prayers in every day and night. So the 5 daily prayers, that's the thing that you need to teach them. Then if they obey you, then tell them that there is zakat, which is a money to be taken from them, where it's going to be taken from their own rich, given to their own poor people. So he's saying to them, in case they object, why you're taking money with this taxation, to tell them that it's going to be taken from your own rich people and it's going to be circulating in your own people. That means it's going to be going back to your own poor people. And it's important as well to explain that to the people. And then he said, be aware of the best of their money. For verily, it is dhulm, oppression. And be aware of the supplication of a person who's under oppression. Means, if you collect the zakah is of 2 types. One which is the apparent, one which is the hidden. The hidden is the gold and silver and the banknotes. Nobody knows about that except for you, and you are the one to figure out how much zakah should be paid. But in terms of the cattle, sheep and goats and cows and camels, and also in terms of the crops, this is for apparent, everybody can see it. So the governor, when he comes, we send someone to collect your zakah, he will take from you the zakah which you're going to calculate from your silver and gold, which he doesn't know how much it is, and your, as well, money, which is the banknotes. And as for the other one, he will calculate how much himself. He will see how much, for example, sheep and goats and how much cows, and then he will take from that the zakah. Same thing, how much is the land that you are producing, of the crops, and he will, weigh that, and he will take the zakah. Then he said to him, don't take that best of the money. So you go to the best of the rams, the best of the sheep, best of the, which is the fat one. So you've got 40 sheep, for every 40 sheep is a 1 sheep to be given. Don't go to the best. And the owner should not give you as well the worst, which is the one which is the lightest one, you don't know what meat in it. So it's to be average. And then he said, and this hadith is finished. So what do we notice from this hadith? We notice that the Prophet of Allah did not tell him about 2 things. Hajj, because Hajj was not obligatory at that time. And Siyam, fasting. Fasting was well established, and it was about 7 and 8 years after it became obligatory. So why is it? Why is it that he did not tell him that they have, to tell him what the fast? Because the fast is an inward ibadah. So the inward ibadah, we can't test it. That is why also when the person prays the 5 daily prayers, fasting is included as well. No way. You find a person, brother, come forward please. I don't really, yes, come forward. It's not really good to sit at the back. It's a masjid basically. Come bring your chair forward. That young boy got a chair, you haven't got a chair. Oh, come forward, the chair. My class has to be, with the etiquettes of giving the knowledge, because it doesn't really work. Scattered people, then no news to this. Very important to be close to each other. So, no way you're going to find, and prove me wrong, person who prays 5 daily prayers, that he doesn't fast. It's impossible. Unless he's not capable. Not capable because he's traveling, incapable because he's weak, capable because he's weak, ill. That's no problem. But somebody who is capable to fast, and he's a residential, he's not traveling, and he's capable health-wise, and he prays 5 daily prayers and he does not fast, you bring me 1. Can you? No way. But you could find a verse, vice versa. Meaning what? Person fasting, but he doesn't That's lots of. And if he prays, maybe he prays Ramadan, and after Ramadan he's already planned not to continue. Look at some of the sisters, even they plan to put the hijab when Ramadan comes and pray, and then after that they plan already. As soon as Ramadan is finished, take off the hijab and kick off the prayer. So that is why prayer is very important. Coming back, so the siyam, Allah says it's for me, because when it is a person fasting, nobody knows except for him, Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's between you and Allah. That is what Allah says. This is for me, and I will recompense for it. So imagine, okay, that an owner of a, for example, factory, the boss, the owner, you have workers. And among these workers, he picks up you. And the owner says, you come to me and I'll give you your salary in my hand. Whereas the others, they have to receive it by the bank, standing order. But you, I'm going to give it to you on your own. And that's the hadith. Allah says, I'm going to give you, okay, my own salary, my own. Allah says, I'm going to give you my hasanat. So there is no counting for it. Imagine if you're in a company, everybody goes, how much are you going to give me this? How much money? Because your reward is with me. And I'm going to give you the salary. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, for the fast, I will give you, nobody else. So it's nothing to do with multiple 10 times, and 5 times, and 100 times. Something else. And that is why one of the deeds which are the sawm, gives you a lot of hasanat, is the fasting. As-siyam junnah, that he says. As-siyam is shield. Shield in this dunya, shield in the hereafter. Shield in the hereafter is the hellfire. There will be a barrier between you and the hellfire. Each day you fast for the sake of Allah, will put it like a trench. Trench is a big hole, okay, between you and the hellfire. And that trench, in terms of width-wise, is like between heavens and earth. Just for each day. Well, you need more than that in order to keep away from the heat of the fire. So it's a shield. And in the dunya, a shield against your whims and desire. Person who is fasting. He's not in the mood of thinking about, lust and women and all that. And that is very important to know this. When the person fasts, physically speaking, not spiritually as well. When the person, he is hungry. When you are hungry, that means the blood which is pumping isn't that much. And the veins of yours will be tight. And we know from the Prophet of Allah that the shaitan runs into your veins inside. So the wider the vein it is, the more smoother for the shaitan to travel around. That is when the person is in full stomach, he will be doing the things which are haram, because he'll be thinking about it, because the shaitan is running through him. Whereas if he's really very hungry, especially just before he breaks his fast, about half an hour, it's so tight that the veins, nothing running there. So even something that would normally bring his attention, attract him, is not attracting to him. Barbecue chicken will be more attractive to him than a woman passing by. He's always thinking, food. That is why, physically speaking, fast is very good. As I said, it helps you to attain the taqwa. Of course, the fast of a person who is a disbeliever is different from our fast. Because the fast of a disbeliever, he does not hope for a reward from Allah, whereas you do. When you get ill, you hope for sin expiation. Whether it's disbeliever, doesn't difference. It's like a camel. You tie the camel and you loose him up. Does the camel knows why you tied him up and when you loosed him? Does he know? It's exactly the kafirs. Kafir doesn't know why he's being ill and why he's being cured. He doesn't know anything. All he knows is, I'm happy and cured. Oh, bad, ill. And then when he's ill, he just condemns everything. But for the believer, He knows why he's tied up and why he's being lost. Loose. He knows that when he's ill, he knows. When he's fasting, he knows. Because he's seeking the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's seeking the closeness to Allah azza wa jalla. If happens to be that the fast of yours, Messenger of Allah says, if it happens to be that the fast is of one of yours, one of you, then let him not to make rafath or sakhab. Both words, they talk about obscenity. Let him not to indulge into obscenity. Because indulging into the obscenity, number one, it will scratch your fast. Number two, it will again widen up the veins. You know when you get hungry? Pumping of the blood becomes what? Faster. And the veins became, you tried all your best to make them tighter on the shaitan now, because you're angry. And with your bad words, you start making them wider. So the shaitan runs back again. Even those shayateen being tied up in Ramadan, but some people fast other than the month of Ramadan. So they're loose, the shayateen. But in the month of Ramadan, a person, even if it's, we say that difference among the scholars, what is the ones who are being tied up? Is it all the shayateen? Well, definitely the shayateen of mankind are not really tied up. They're loose. When we say shayateen, it could be human being shayateen. Human being shayateen, very bad they are. Your friends. As for the shayateen, which is not from the jinn, well, some of the scholars said only the powerful shayateen. The ones who are really powerful. Marad. But the small ones, still loose. The small ones are what? Still loose. The big ones are the ones locked up. So we have to make sure that we don't really go into rafath or sakhab. No obscenity. فَإِنْ شَاتَمَهُ أَحَدٌ. If somebody reviles against him or insulted him, then let him say, I'm fasting. This is a word to say to the person, I cannot reply back. Even I have the right to reply back. My right has been kept from me. But I'm not going to reply back. If it's a normal day, I'm not fasting, I will reply. But because I'm fasting, I will not scratch my fast. Because once you start insulting, you'll go to worse. And I ask for the windows to be open, but it's a bit warm. There's no wind. It's getting warm, isn't it? I feel like hot. Don't make them cold. You already got a jacket on, and I'm feeling hot to start with you. Sometimes it's just the wind, there's no oxygen. The lack of oxygen makes you get about hypoxia. You see what? Listen. Let him say, I'm fasting. Twice, more than twice. By the one in whose hand is the soul of Muhammad. The bad smell coming out of the mouth of the fasting person is sweeter, nicer with Allah Azza wa Jal on the day of resurrection than the fragrance of musk. So that smell that comes out from the empty stomach is better with Allah than the fragrance of musk. Which means that the person, when he is fasting, he cannot help it. He has to have a smell, that odor coming out of his empty stomach. It doesn't mean that if you have diseased gums, nothing to do with that smell. That is something you need to treat. Talking about an empty stomach. And really the person, in this hadith, it tells us that the bad smell is not good. But because you can't help it when you are fasting, Prophet ﷺ is saying, don't worry. This bad smell, which comes out from an empty stomach, is better with Allah Azza wa Jalla than the fragrance of musk. But it doesn't mean, brother, you go and stinky your mouth. No. It means you need to do the opposite. That is why the siwak is all the time in your mouth. And I have to invest in this moment and take it as an opportunity to remind us ourselves. The brothers need to take care of this issue. And the plaque and all of that makes a bad smell. If you are praying next to somebody, especially in the prayer, some of the brothers that their breath is a killer. So if you're praying, you're not even concentrating on the fact, either he's not cleaning his mouth, or he had some bad things, like garlic or onion, or for example, he was a smoker. I can't really stand a smoker next to me. I will leave the prayer straight away. I can't. I will leave and go to the side. I will break off my prayer because I cannot concentrate. I will be not breathing. I'll be reading while my nose is blocked, and that's really suffocating. So you need to treat. If you have a disease, you need to treat it. If you eat onion, don't eat onion when you have a janamah prayer, especially the garlic. Don't do that. Prophet ﷺ, he takes this very seriously. Once two people came to the masjid. Well, don't look back. They were eating garlic. As soon as they came in, the garlic came in with it. Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who does eat from those شجرتين الخبيثتين, he called them khabitha, bad plants, but it's halal. Then let it not approach our masjid. I mean, even not to come close to the masjid. Oh, wait. لا يقربن مسجدا. We don't want it because people come to the masjid. We don't want it to be next to the door or the gates, even people to smell it. Wait. So he made those people to be what? Thrown. He commanded for them to be carried by the feet and the hands. Imagine? Feet and the hands. And be thrown where? Into the baqiyah, to the dead people. The dead people can't smell them. The baqiyah, no. Don't do that, easy man. That is what happened. Between the feet and the up. That's really bad. So some of the people, not just his mouth, all his clothes is smelling. Everything is smelling. Either because of food, or it could be because he hadn't had a bath for how many years, I don't know. You think I'm joking? Really, one day, happened to my friend and to me. Asking me, I'll explain, very recent. Praying the Fajr is not a lot of people. Every time I go to the prayer, I go choose closest to the Imam. Side, just side. Started my prayer, and then somebody joined in. And I knew that the smell is coming, it's from him. Because that person, when I joined, this must smell. That smell is unbearable. It's not the mouth, it's all of it. Stinky clothes, sweat, whatever. I kept my nose closed, and then trying to take a sample something. Thinking wrong. Just a sample. Still a killer. Finished the prayer. I said, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk to the Imam. As soon as I talked to the Imam, he said, I know the guy. He's known. I have to. So I talked to him. And he said to me, the Imam again, don't worry about him now. Khalas. He's having a shower and bath, everything. Alhamdulillah. Changing his clothes. Because if I told him myself, he might take a stand against me. So let's let him out. The Imam was talking to some people, and he talked to them about not the following day, because the following day will know it's me. Or somebody, so in about 3 weeks, forgotten. But I was really every time come to the prayer and then I look at him. If he's there, I go there. Because I'm scared it's got the same smell. But alhamdulillah, once he prayed twice now beside me, no smell. The other one, a long time. There's an uncle who complains a lot. He said, we need to change the carpet. I'm a very big smeller and I smell things from far away. So where? Because cat smells. I'm smelling the whole carpet, sniffing it. Nothing wrong with the carpet. No, we need to change the carpet. If the carpet is good, we need to change the carpet or wash the carpet. So I needed to talk to him by somebody who could really speak to him. So I talked to his son. His son is very young. I told him, father, he's old, but it's giving me a headache. He wants me to change the carpet. Very good carpet. What should I do? I said, no, I know what is the reason. X, Y, Z. So the X person who prays next to him. And he thinks it's a carpet. It's in the Fajr prayer again because of very few people. Please solve it. Please solve it. Because I'm an imam, I don't smell that person. He's behind me. So he went, because he knows the person. He knows even his room stinks. So he went to the person. He's on his own. It's not going to work. And he spoke to him. Alhamdulillah, the carpet, alhamdulillah, wasn't being asked to be changed. So I've been asking him, how's the carpet now? MashaAllah, it's good. He changed it, cleaned it. I don't tell him what I did. He didn't know his son talked to the person who used to pray next to him. He didn't know. He couldn't believe that the stink coming from the person. It was from the carpet. I mean, back to the hadith. So, this hadith talks about that person sometimes have an empty stomach. As for your mouth, keep it clean. During Ramadan, siwak. As for your stomach, there is no such siwak. You're going to go all the way to your stomach and start cleaning. So keep clean. Prophet ﷺ then he said, and the sa'im, fasting person, has got 2 times of joy. When he breaks his fast, he's happy. And when he meets his Lord, he's happy with his fasting. On the day of resurrection, there will be gates in paradise. And the gates are 8. And they were made 8 in order to accommodate, not for the numbers, for the variety of pious people. Some pious people, they are more hooked to charity than, for example, more fasting. Some pious people are into reciting Quran more than praying voluntary. Some pious people, some people, they are more into making voluntary hajj, making tawaf all the time, than making qiyam. And each person takes whatever is suitable to himself. Some of them, mashallah, God will be thriving in all of us. Like Abu Bakr, he will be entering from all gates. From all the gates of paradise. So, there's a gate. So the gates of paradise as follows. Gate number 1, prayer. Babu Salah. Gate number 2, zakat. Charity. We call it Babu Sadaqah. So Bab Sadaqah. What is zakat? Salah and the zakat. Third one, Babu Rayyan. This is the hadith. Babu Rayyan is a rayyan from Arabic, giving water to the person who is thirsty. Which person who is thirsty, the water rayyan. All the people fast will be called from that gate. No one will enter that gate except for the person who is to fast. So again, Salah, Sadaqah, and Rayyan for the fasting people. Fourth one is the gate of the Hajj. Hajj, which is pilgrimage. The fifth gate is the gate of the Walidain, 2 parents. And they are the middle gate, the best of the gates. Being righteous to your parents. 6th gate, gate of the jihad. Jihad, fighting for the sake of Allah. 7th gate, the gate of knowledge. Ilm, or dhikr. Remembrance, together. Knowledge and remembrance. From it into the scholars and the reciters. And last gate is the gate which is on the right. So you have the gate in the middle, you know it, and we go to the right, or gate, then mutawakkilun. The one who put their trust in Allah. This is a shortcut. You enter from that gate, you will have no punishment, no reckoning. Straight away to paradise. Shortcut. No punishment, no reckoning. What does it mean reckoning? You're going to be stopped and you're going to be investigated. Your book, it's got this and it's got that, it's got this and it's got that. I remember the pious person, just like Allah had hidden for you your secret sins, He will hide you as well your secret sins on the day of Judgment. You don't want to be exposed. So the sins that you do between you and Allah, nobody knows it. If you're a pious person, just like He had hid those during the dunya, nobody knew about them, He will hide those for you as well on the day of Judgment. You don't want to be exposed. Nobody knows what you're doing between these four walls. If you are on your own, except for Allah. Coming back. It is compulsory to fast the Ramadan as soon as we sight the crescent. So we are attached to the crescent. Prophet Allah said, fast when you see it, break the fast when you see it. That means finish Ramadan once you also see it. Seeing it, that means the crescent of the moon, which is Shawwal. فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ. But if happens to be that you couldn't see it because of the clouds, whatever, then فَعُدُّوا 30. Then count 30. So this is to tell us that we need to sight the moon. And the moon has phases, called the phases of the moon. It has 28 phases. Because usually the 29th and the 30th phase, they don't show. 28 منزل, 28 phases. The moon. The 29th and the 30th usually does what? It does not show. So when you have the first phase after that doesn't show, that is the crescent. That is indicating the beginning of the month. So, if one witness, just, it has to be a person who is doing this ibadah. We don't accept, for example, witnesses, not pray, does not fast. I've sighted the moon, I don't know what he sighted. He has to be had. Shahid wad. Person who does his 5 daily prayers. If he testified that he had seen the moon, the crescent, then all the ummah should abide by that single testimony, single witnessing person. I'm going to give further declaration and clarification for that. First of all, you need to know that the sighting is with the naked eye. Meaning, no usage, no help of telescope. So if you have a telescope that sees beyond the cloud, okay, see it. Nice, mashallah, to look at it. But if you take the telescope away and you can't see it, you cannot say that tomorrow is Ramadan. If you have a, mashallah, space shuttle, you could really go further away from the, you could see the, mashallah, the crescent, good for you, enjoy it. But if you go down to the earth, you can't see it, you can't say what you have seen. So you're going to have telescope, you're going to have aeroplanes, nothing. You have calculation. Calculation says, no, the moon is born today, so it must be there. Okay, enjoy that calculation, of course. No problem about that. But we have to see with our own. So it has to be with the naked eye. So we are very importantly to know this, that our Sharia facts are dependent upon these issues, not upon scientific facts. Because if you depend upon scientific facts, you're going to damage a lot. I'll give you examples. We as an ummah decide that if the person is dead or alive, if his heart what? Stop. Yeah. You don't need a doctor. The doctor's to confirm it. Yeah, he's not. But if his heart is beating, and then scientifically said, oh, his brain is damaged, finished. There's no usage. There's only that machine. Brother, I'm not going to bury him when he has to stop that. No, brother, scientifically speaking, he's dead. You want the bed for somebody else, basically. Well, scientifically speaking, is that if I can't see that stops, I'm not going to bury him. Yeah, you could take the machines out. Take the machine.
because you think the machine is not the one, the machine is not making him to pump, but you have to get the machine until he what? He stops, his heart stops. The master is the heart. Because we are depending on religious facts, not scientific facts. Another example. Example of seeing the sun. Scientifically speaking, when you see the sun is setting, well, the sun is rising. So if you look at the sun in the Maghrib, the sun, scientifically speaking, actually what you are seeing is not the sun. You're seeing the reflection, scientifically. You're not seeing the sun, you're seeing what? So the sun's still what? Behind the mountains. Allahu Musta'an. And when it rises, when you see the sun, no, it's not the sun. It's actually seeing the reflection of the sun. Still the sun behind the mountain. So what is it going to cause us is, problem here. Brother, pray Fajr. The sun is rising. No, brother, it's not the sun rising. It's the reflection of the sun. Still behind the mountain. Don't you know the details though? Don't you know this scientific fact? Allahu Musta'an. Yeah, the sun is moving between our eyes. No, brother, this is a reflection of the sun. You're not going to have a problem. When it sets, you see the person is eating. Brother, what are you eating? The sun. You say, no, brother, the sun. The rain is behind the mountain. Is what you see the reflection. Allah Musta'an. He's breaking the fast before the people and he is enjoying himself sleeping. And he sees up, the sun is not rising. That's scientifically speaking. We are not going to depend upon scientifics. We're going to depend upon our naked eye. نحن أمة الأمية لا نعرف الحساب. We could use that as a help. Coming now to the calculation of the moon. The moon is not born. It's impossible for the people to sight the moon. Means tomorrow it has to be the 30th of Sha'ban. It can't be the 1st of Ramadan. So we got some people out and they're seeing the crescent. So one witness, two witness, three witness, mashallah, there are lots of witnesses. Saudi Arabia again does it again. Tomorrow is Ramadan. Oh, Saudi made a mistake. You're going to have the same mistake again. Every Ramadan you hear it. But when Indonesia made same sighting of the moon last year, those Sufis, they couldn't really blame anything to do with Indonesia because Indonesia is a Sufi country. It's only Saudi Arabia. Wahhabis. They call them Wahhabis. And they couldn't say anything. But Indonesia is the moon. So if the Saudi Arabians, Indonesia is wrong. But why do you know about Indonesia? Allah al-Musta'an. So only Mecca. Only the government of Saudi Arabia. There must be Jews, you know. Allah al-Musta'an. You hear the same thing. And the government had imposed upon the people to pay money because they won't expiate the wrong mistake citing of the moon. Every year they repeat the message. And people start sending it from one person. Ya akhi fear Allah. Don't be a dump. Like Mr. Trump. Please. See the message before you pass it on to somebody else. Just investigate it. What's that message? So, we see the moon, 5 witnesses, we would say the moon, khalas, tomorrow is Ramadan. Calculation, put in your pocket. But the calculation would be important that the moon is not born tomorrow, it's impossible. And we had one witness. Yes, we accept one witness. But we sent a lot of people. And it's only one got back. Now the judge might be not decide tomorrow is the one. Hang on a second, lots of people are studying. How come it's you? You see the moon. And they said calculation-wise, impossible to see the moon because it hasn't been born. So I need to wait for another further investigation. So he sent them hundreds, one person came. Even 2 people out of hundreds, still, because you have to be careful. Like at the time of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, lots of people wanted to sight the moon. An old man came there. I seen the crescent. So before he had announced that tomorrow Ramadan, go with him, check. Why is the old man had seen it, other people did not see it? So he went with the old man, where the area inside the moon. See it now there. There's no moon. It's like a light, it's not moving. And he looked at his eye, and his eyebrow was falling down, making like a crescent. With that, he thinks he sees what? Crescent. That's documented by them. That's why Umar Khattab, the inspired man, radiallahu anhu, he did not say that tomorrow, did not verify his testimony. So that's what we're saying. If it's not, calculation-wise, we could really use it to aid, to help, but it's not the asl, it's not the foundation, it's not the principle by which we decide that tomorrow is Ramadan or not. As for the moon of Shawwal, which is the moon indicating the end of the month, the difference between the beginning and the end is that all the ahadith of sighting the moon talks about two witnesses. But because we have sighting the moon beginning of Ramadan, another hadith, which is one witness, Abdullah ibn Umar, he testified. And he was just reached his puberty. About he was 17, 18 years old. And he was the witness. And the Prophet of Allah said, everybody fast upon one sighting. That hadith excluded from those ahadith, because all the ahadith talks about whether you sighted at the beginning or the end, you need two witnesses. But because we have this hadith talking about the beginning of Ramadan, so we'll say the beginning of Ramadan, one witness, and stays at the end of Ramadan is to be what? Two witnesses. So to sight the moon of Shawwal, two witnesses. Whereas the moon of beginning of Ramadan is one witness. There is a difference among the scholars as well. Some of them, they said even at the beginning or at the end you could have two. You should have two. And others they say no, the only one is enough. Upon whom the fasting is compulsory. It is compulsory upon the Muslim, the sane, the adult, and the healthy, and the one who is resident, and the woman who is free from menstruation and postnatal. So you've got, those are the 6 things that if you have them, then fasting becomes compulsory upon you. Muslim, sane, a Muslim, if he's not a Muslim, of course, it is not compulsory upon him. He will not be accepted from him. Sane, if he's insane, is not required from him. And as well, adult. The adulthood is either by the person had pubic hair, or the adulthood is established by sexual defilement, janaba, which is wet dream, or, as in the case of the man or the woman, or the person had finished 15 years, remember, 15 lunar years, not started, finished 15 lunar years, and the sign, an extra one as well, that is for the women, menses, blood. If one of those signs comes, then the person is an adult. As for the healthy, the one who is not healthy, then either it's chronical or non-chronical. Chronical illness, then there is no fast on that person. He has to expiate for each day that he breaks his fast by feeding a poor person. You call it fidya, ransom. If it's a non-chronical illness, I mean a short-term illness, then he has an option whether to fast or not to fast. But if he believes the fast is going to increase his illness, he should not fast. And if the doctors, they said the fast will be fatal on you, is sinful upon you to fast. As for the resident, if you're a traveler, then you have the choice to fast or not to fast. So if you're a traveler, you have the choice. Just like you're ill, you have the choice. Because it depends on how much your illness is. And it depends upon how much you're going to get tired while you are traveling. We say, normally the case, that if the person is going to be very weak when he fasts, if he's ill or is a traveler, we say to him, breaking the fast and not to fast is better than yours, in your case. But if this person, basically, he has, mashallah, luxury journey, and he doesn't feel tired, and he feels it's going to be a bit too much for him to compensate for those days he missed, There's no problem for him to fast while he's a traveler. Companions who travel with each other, some of them used to fast, and some of them they used to not to fast. For those who used to fast, they would never come to the one who doesn't fast, and they will say to them, "You chicken, why are you not fasting?" And the ones who do not fast will never go to the one who fasts and say to them, "Why you are extremists and you fasting?" So each one according to his ability. As for the old man and the old woman, and the one who is chronically ill, diseased, then those the categories where they pay a ransom, fidya, that is feeding a poor person for every day, they break. But let me remind them, before I remind them, I go include as well with them the pregnant women and the breastfeeding women as well. They could have the option. Number one is to compensate for those days that they miss, or option two, treat them like the old man and the old woman, and the one who's got chronically ill. That is to to feed a poor person for every day that they break the fast. But let me remind all of those categories that the feeding of the poor person for the day that they break has to be done after, not before. So not at the beginning of Ramadan you start feeding poor people for pre-planned breaking of the whole Ramadan. You understand me? So he's an old man, he knows that he's not going to fast the whole Ramadan. Breastfeeding, he knows he's not going to fast the whole Ramadan. Chronically ill, he's not going to fast the whole Ramadan. He cannot feed the poor people at the beginning of Ramadan, because he hasn't really brought the fasting. He has to break the fast and then what? Expiate. So you cannot pay the penalty before you're penalized. You understand me? You cannot pay a ticket of speeding until you speed. So the same thing, you cannot pay the ransom before you do the action. So you could do it day by day, which is the best, or you could divide it every 10 days, you feed 10 people. The pillars of the fast, I'm going to read them inshallah. So next week we'll finish reading in full. Inshallah. Do you have any question regarding what we have heard up to now? And then inshallah we will talk about the arkan of the sawm, intention and all of that, and as well to abstain from the food, inshallah next week. In 2 weeks' time. And by the way, this is the next 2 weeks' time. It's going to be just about 4 nights before Ramadan. And you know that in about 3 nights, the night preceding Al-Khamis, the night that's after Arbi'a, the night before Thursday is the night which is called the 15th night of Shaban. So make sure that we talked about that last time. Make sure that you don't have shirk, and make sure that you have no malice or grudge towards your brothers. Any questions, please? Now.
How far do I have to travel for me to be counted as a traveler, so that I can break my fast? Like, suppose that if I go to London, would I count as a traveler?
How much do I need to travel in order to be considered a traveler, so I could have the option not to fast? Okay. First of all, the traveling is that when you need to travel, it's not for you to go and make a travel in order to break your fast. So somebody says, oh, well, you need to only do just about, 40 miles, 45 miles, and you'll be traveling. So, okay. I just got over here with my bicycle. Well, I've got moped. I look at the clock, 45 miles. Cigarettes. So initiating a travel just for the sake of the prayer is not Allah. But you're a traveler in Ramadan. How many miles? There is no such thing. You can't just say no miles, because it doesn't make sense. You say 40 miles, so what about 39.9? So one step you're a traveler, one step back you're not a traveler. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So all of this is what we don't have really. It doesn't make sense. But still, what designates a person as a traveler? That's a very controversial issue. I could be me and you going to a place, same place. So we left from the same place and we ended in the same place. But you consider yourself a traveler, and I don't consider myself a traveler, or vice versa. The traveling is that the person, he goes to a place where people reckon to be a traveler. That means outside his own area, regardless of the mileage. Prophet of Allah used to go 3 miles, and he's a traveler. 3 miles. Farsakh. He's a traveler. Now we go 3 miles, I'm not traveling, no way. That's next door Asda, you know. I'm not going to be a traveler. But the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he said, Man ajma'a. Ajma'a, the word, he had made his intention with ijma'. Ijma' means like he had done extra for the sake of that journey. What is that extra? Extra bits. Rest assured, for example, sometimes you could make sure that your car has got water in it, oil, checking the oil, the indicator of the petrol, enough for me to reach the area. You understand me? That's extra bits. You're doing it. If you go to the fish and chip shop there, with the car, you don't really do that. It's an extra. It's something that you prepared extra. So, because you're not musafir. And your family, you always tell them where you're going. You don't tell them every time you go to a shop. Tell them to that area. Even if they know already, because you say you've got a habit every week, but at least they know you are in such and such area. Such and such. You've done extra thing. Preparing your bag. Extra. Preparing your salah, prayer carpet. Extra. Okay? So the person, when he is making ajma', he is musafir. But you could arrive to the same land, which is considered to be traveling, but yet you are traveling. How? Let me bring this example. Let's say that you are a bird hunter, shooting birds. So, you know that you are in Bedford. If you go to Newcastle, you're a traveler. Yes? 100%. So this person is hunting birds. And in our country, it's very easy to do that because you go flat deserts in areas. So he sees the birds and hunting, it's not really catching properly, so it goes a bit. And he kept going until he reached Newcastle. He's not a traveler. Because from the beginning, he was not planning to go up to Newcastle. He's planning to go up what? 1 mile for the bird, 1 mile for the bird, and they ended up in how many months? And that's a very good example. He hasn't prepared himself for something. Okay? And also, something here comes. Even a person, he would go to a place where he normally is not considered to be traveling. It's only 5 miles away. It's not traveling for him, for example. Yet he prepared for it something which is extra. And I'll give an example for this. Like, let's say that you are a very important man, and your company, or your vice president of this company, whatever, you need to make a conference. And this conference takes you 3, 4, 5 days. And you need to be detached from the whole outside world, where there's no mobile, nothing. So you want to go, you prepare it. So you tell your wife, I'm going to go there, there's an emergency, and you have to call this number, I'm not going to be in contact. And even it's 5 miles away. But you prepared yourself, you prepared your bag to go and sleep there. So you're a traveler. Do you understand that? You're a traveler. The traveling is not just to do with a distance, it's to do with the person himself. He's keen to come at a certain time, he's keen to live at a time. So lots of things in his mind, and that is why Allah will give him the concession. Combine and plus shorten the prayer. That's the concession to him. Because you know for a fact that those pilots who travel from here to India in a luxury plane, the best of cabinets is there, there's a driving seat. Pilot seat. And he's going every day, and he comes back. So we say to him, no, because you're going every day, and mashallah, luxury, there's no traveling. Who said that? Every time he goes to drive that plane, to pilot it, he prepares himself. He just takes his papers and everything, and even though he does it regularly, still, he's a traveler. And the Prophet always said, traveling is a piece of hardship, not punishment. Because the hadith says, قطعة من العذاب. Adab is being translated in a wrongly punishment. Allah punishing me by putting trouble? No. Yeah, adab means pain. It's a piece of pain, hardship. It's not punishment. It's a wrong translation by the way. Now, other questions? Sisters, any questions, please send them through papers. Cool?
Just an add-on to the brother's question. An add-on to the brother's question, what's about the durations? So let's say that he's a traveller and he fulfilled all those conditions. If he stayed 3 days or if he stayed for 10 days, does it make?
So you tell him now he's a traveller, but he is. How long is it? How long does it take him to travel? Most of the scholars say fourth day, and then after that he's not traveling. We say there is no basically limit for the time. Prophet of Allah, he went to Tabuk. And he stayed there, how many days? 21 days. And he was shortening the prayer. Allah Abbas said even 23 days, shortening the prayer. There's nothing for 4 days. So it is actually when the person settles, إذا أجمع الإقامة, again the word comes in. If he had gathered himself to reside. So gathered himself, that means he's going to settle his mind to reside. He's not a trouble anymore. It could be from the first hour, he's what? A resident. So let's say that you are having 2 wives. One in the UK, and one in Morocco, and one in, I don't say Moroccan because you're Moroccan, and one in Japan. So you're traveling from here to the second wife. While you are traveling, you are a traveler. Once you land in Morocco, if she's next to the airport, straight away you are what? Resident. You can't be a traveler. Your wife will kill you. What do you mean resident? And then, woo, to Japan. Okay? You are a traveler until you reach Japan. Let's say that you are next to the airport. As soon as you land, you are a resident. Japanese wife you can have, mashallah. Come, my darling. Then back to England, the wife from the UK. And this is a person who's a true person. He's a Moroccan person. He had 3 wives. One in Morocco, one in Japan, one in here. Oh, mustahab. That's very costly wives. You know, the far west, far east, and in the middle. And I used to be in Jordan every time he goes, because it's a triangle, see. And I come in the middle between Morocco and Japan, in Jordan. So he lands in Jordan and I see him. So every time he comes from Morocco, he brings me some of the fruits of Moroccans. He comes from Japan, before he goes to England, I mean it's in the triangle land. He comes from Jordan and he brings me the fruits from where? From Japan. Sorry, Japan is the last one. Sorry, Indonesian first. Indonesian. Japanese is the last. You know, he upgrades. He upgrades. So I never seen the lychee. You know the lychees? You used to come to Indonesia. I never seen this fruit. They brought me lychee. I've never seen it because in Jordan we don't see like in the UK they bring all the type of fruit. But not lychee, that spiky fruit. Never had it before. Subhanallah, I love it so much. So every time I think, when are you going to travel to Indonesian wife to get the lychee? So anyway, he ended up with only one, the Japanese. Couldn't afford all of the 3. I'm not, brothers, opening your reputation for more than 1 wife, okay? Please make me in peace with the sisters.
So for example, say if you go on holiday somewhere where you have family, would you still be considered a traveller? So for example, say if you have siblings or parents,
yeah, if like these people who have, let's say for example, he is, now at the moment, he is a student in a university, let's say in another city. And he left his home, and he's resigning in that place now. So he's a Birmingham student. He's a resident because he had now decided to reside there, studying. So he bought his own microwave. He's bought, you know, he's now not really going to the takeaways. He's resigning. He's bringing his own, his cutleries, his utensils, all of the, you know, all of these things that he needs. And he's sleeping in a particular flat, cheap or whatever, you know, the student thing. So he's coming back to visit his father and mother where he used to reside. He's a resident. He's what? He's a resident. So a person who's going back home now, he's coming from Algeria, coming from Tanzania, coming from Zanzibar, or whatever. I mean, where he comes from, his home is home. I mean, he feels even there more home than home here. Okay? His home. Wallahu ta'ala.
Feeding the poor people, the old person, does it be a specific person or neighbors or relatives or just the man or what?
Feeding the poor people, it doesn't matter who are these poor people, as long as they are poor. But if you have poor from the relatives, priority goes to them. So you have poor from the relatives. So when you do this, you do a fidya, you do as well plus silah, maintaining your kinship, relationship. And that goes into giving you extra age, extra years. More years. Don't forget that. Now,
how would you advise us to deal with praying next to somebody that maybe
Smelly.
Yeah.
How do you advise me to, if I'm praying something? Well, I advise you, number one, is that in the prayer itself, to be patient as much as possible. If you couldn't hold yourself, then you need to change your place, because you can't really do it. But I would say advise you to, the prayer. You could say, for example, just turn slightly away from where the smell is. So you'll make your antennas, your nose, this side, for example, or close to your, or you could put your hand close to your nose and start smelling perfume of yours, for example, just not to smell anything from there. You need to do your best, just tilting your head a bit away from that path of the smoke, the path of that, stinky smell. After the prayer, I advise this person to speak to somebody, a third person, like an imam, to advise this person, because these are issues of very personal, very personal. You will never forget it. Okay. And he might react in a bad way as well. And that's my advice. And the third one is that whenever you see him, keep away from him. Don't pray next to him. Because you don't want to. SubhanAllah, it's a dilemma. There's a person who I know that his mouth is not really got something wrong with the gums. Every time I ask a question, I have to really take my distance. Taking my distance away is not really polite. Understand? But some people, they exaggerate. They treat everybody with a bad smell. So when you talk to them, he always like this. It's like you shoot him. That's not right as well. That's very rude. Painful. Rude. I mean, before he talks to you like this, is he worried about his stinky mouth or is he worried for your stinky mouth? I don't know. So so I would say to them, well, this is a very personal issue. When I used to be imam, when people tell me about somebody that's his clothes is carrying and all of that, I used to take him aside and talk to him. Some of them, they don't take it really nice. I take it really nicely and everything, Sometimes it's not really your fault because you pass through the kitchen, that smell lingers to your clothes. SubhanAllah, don't shoot it. Especially if it's damp clothes. You pass through a kitchen with, mashallah, spicy, nice curry. Ooh. Nice to eat, but smell, So, sometimes, I don't know who's the smell. So when I'm praying, somebody comes in, and smell comes with him. I could feel the kitchen coming with him. So while I'm praying and reciting, I can't myself recite properly. When I finish the prayer now, I'm not going to ask, who's got the curry smell? I can't say that. So what I do, straight away, I leave the prayer, and I go next to the door. Waiting for them to come out. Then I hold it open. Oh, excuse me. Can I talk to you, brother? I go take him to the room by myself, and then I talk to him. Tell him about this and be careful. Wallah, it's very important. You came in, all the kitchen came in. And you know what I'm talking about. I go to the brothers from Pakistan's masjids. They stink. The masjid stinks because the imam does not tell me. I've got Pakistani brothers masjid. MashaAllah, smells nice. Because I train them. The Imam tells them, and he says, breathalyze them. The Imam is important to do that. People will not pray with you. They will not. So your masjid is very important to be clean and nice smell. So once when I was invited to open a masjid, the opening of the masjid, to give a talk, my speech, I talked about this issue. Your masjid has to be all the time nice and like the Prophet, you know, the incense, bkhur, nice and everything. So I then came to the masjid after 2 years, 3 years. It's a Pakistani, taxi drivers. I said, MashaAllah, masjid, first Pakistani 100% masjid in Kronos now. Then yes, it's your talk. Since your talk, you told us khalas. Even frying chips, you know frying chips? The fryer, the oil, it goes into your beard. And still frying, you know, sort of chips. So when I used to be living on my own, and the flat is upstairs from the masjid, on my own. So I used to, most of the time, take takeaway. Sometimes I fry, and I'm good at making eggs and chips and all of this junk food. When I do, because in the winter time, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, 3 prayers, Isha they delayed at the late o'clock. Those prayers, they come out, bang, 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 an hour and a half. There's no time. So for me to fry chips, there's going to be no time. So if I fry chips with my clothes and everything, it's going to be very hard to go and leave the prayer. Wallahi, and I'm not joking, I used to take off topless, just to sit one. Wallahi, I used to take the cling film, you know the cling film, and wrap my face. Wallahi, wrap my beard and everything. Just my nose, and breathe. And then I fry. You'll be amazed, like a spaceman. And believe it or not, when I finish the frying, all the vapor is condensed on top of my what? Plastic cling. So what I take it off, put it there, don't have to have a shower, nothing. My clothes are well kept into the bedroom, taking it from the best 1 bedroom flat. Put it myself, but downstairs and leave the prayer. Because I said to you, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, no time. I'm very fussy about this thing because the man has to be, you know, clean. If people's clean, you're telling the people to clean, you're not cleaning yourself. So I soak myself in perfume. In case people don't, because the smell is very, as I said, brother, he said, what should he do? Because he maybe suffered from that. And some of you suffered as well. The people, the Sikh, take off the record, no record.